So for the clay for the mask, this is oil-based clay. It's pretty pliable after it warms up, and you can put it onto the copy of the person's face and make any designs on it that you want. And then I use a variety of tools I just kind of bought from the pottery shop. There's some out of wood and some that have metal tips for shaping and adding details to the mask that you're going to make. So before I make a mask for somebody, I put plaster bandages on their face to get a pretty good copy of their facial dimensions. And then I use a hydrocal to pour inside of it. And then, so you fill it up with hydrocal, and after it hardens, you take it out, and you get a copy of their face, right? It's not super perfect, but it's good enough. And this one's already used, so that's why it has clay all over it. So here are two sculptures, one of my face and that was made off my sister's. I'm going to spray with a crystal clear enamel. This just makes it, when I mold it, so it comes apart a little bit easier. So they're all sprayed now. It takes, I don't know, 10-15 minutes for it to set, and then you can start the next phase of it, which is making a mold of your clay sculpture. Alright, after I sprayed them, the next step is to pour the plaster over it. But first I have to make a wall around the sculpture so that the plaster doesn't spill out all over the place. So I'm just going to use water-based clay to do it. It's just basic clay I bought from the local pottery shop. Alright, so I layered clay around it and making sure there's no little gaps for the plaster to go around. And then I still have to do a wall on the sides of this. That'll go up about 1 inch, and there's about 1 inch from the side of the mold to the end of the clay. But for this one, I'm going to have to do a different process. So I'll explain that a little bit when I get there. Alright, so now it has a wall built around it. So all the plaster is staying, and it's ready to be cast whenever I'm ready. But still got to do this one. So for this one, since it's a pretty big one and it's off the table, I have to build a wall that floats, so I kind of support it with clay, and it's a little bit tougher to do, but it works just the same. And yep, I'll do that next. Alright, so made the wall just like the other one, except I have little clay supports on it to keep it from falling down when the weight of the plaster gets on top of it. Alright, so before I start putting plaster on top of this stuff, I'm gonna cut up this loose weave burlap that I bought from a garden section of the hardware store. It's gonna be used to strengthen the mold, and it's about in like 3x3 pieces, 4x4. That's fine enough. Alright, so I got them all already. So I added about 1 inch of water to a 1 gallon ice cream tub. I'm gonna now add hydrocal plaster until it's ready to mix and pour on the mold. I added about enough plaster to make it look like what they call a dry lake bed effect. It just takes a little bit of practice to figure out exactly how much plaster to add to the water. Then you just let it sit for a little bit, then you mix it up, and then you can pour it on there. The first layer I'm going to put is more of a detail layer. I'll make sure I get into all the nooks and crannies, and then after that I'll put a more thick layer and add the burlap with that layer to make sure the mold is strong, so even if it breaks, it'll still stay together, so I can get a cast out of it. So I'll put the first layer on each one. It's just pretty light, and the second layer I'm going to make sure when I do it, I'm going to dip the burlap inside of these, then place it on so that they start overlapping with each other. And like I said earlier, that way if the mold breaks when I try to take it apart or drop it or something, the pieces will still stay relatively together, so you can still make a cast out of it. Alright, so I got the layers down on this one and that one. So I just gotta wait about 1 hour for it to set, and then if I want to demold it, I can. I think it takes about 24 hours for it to like fully harden, but if you wait an hour, you could start to if you wanted to, if you're in a hurry. One more thing to note, plaster is really bad to have in your sink. So when you're like washing your hands, washing out the buckets and whatnot, make sure you keep all the plaster inside the bucket and then dump it out somewhere else. Alright, so I got them all done, cleaned up the clay and whatnot. So next thing you got to do is take it apart. You want to take your time with. The way I do it is I use flathead screwdrivers, stick them in 2 different spots, and slowly loosen it up. But it's only been setting for about 25-30 minutes, so I'm definitely gonna wait a lot longer because I don't want to break it. In the basement, I have a collection of a bunch of the molds and stuff I made. I'm only showing how to do a half mold. When you do full head mold, it's a different process, kind of, because your mold comes in two pieces, a top and a back half. So the method you use is different to make a full head mask. But all my full head masks down there. Okay, so I took apart the first one. You see the sculpture's all messed up now. So, and inside there's just a little bit of clay stuck inside because I sprayed it with a crystal clear gloss that makes it really easy to clean out afterwards. So your sculpture will be messed up, but you got a copy of it right here. I got them cleaned out. I'm just gonna pour latex inside there, slosh around a little bit, pour it back in the bucket, pour another layer on, slosh around a little bit, pour it back in the bucket, put another layer on, let it dry overnight, and then I'll have the masks. I didn't cover all the steps, to do everything exactly, but this is a general overview of how I do it. There's lots of different ways to do it. This is a cheaper way to do it. I'm kind of on a budget. I haven't been selling anything yet, so try to keep it relatively cheap. And that's it. Bye.